You're watching Francis Weller, Jim Hatchett, Chief Meteorologist George Elliott, and Bob Bonner with sports on News 6 at 6.
Ophelia is obviously a serious storm, but it appears to be far less powerful than Katrina. And so many of you have donated supplies and money to the victims of that hurricane that tonight we can show you how those contributions are easing the misery. WECT News 6 photojournalist Chad Headley takes us on the long journey as supplies make the trip from Wilmington to a Mississippi neighborhood.
We'll go into Gulfport, and I've got a few other friends, see if we can assist them and give them some supplies.
I'm too overwhelmed with this, Rick. I don't know where to start.
Let's get everybody. Everybody's in the neighborhood.
He's got the cavalry here, man.
Woo, what a ride. Well, let's get this stuff where people need it.
Coming in the other night in the dark, and it was dark. It was all flashlights.
Tell somebody what you want over here.
Amazing.
People came out and they were so thankful and so happy to see us.
He came here and rescued us. He saved us.
And they were amazed that we had driven 15 hours to help them and bring them these things.
Where are y'all from?
North Carolina. Wilmington, North Carolina. Thank you.
Most people have lost everything.
I'm not even from this neighborhood. The neighborhood I live in, I lost my whole house and everything, so we're staying with friends.
I've had 14 in my house at the high, when normally there's only 2 of us.
When it comes to stuff like this, we all have to pull together.
We have 97 people at the school right up the corner.
It's people coming together. It's people loving one another.
Get some crayons.
Thank you.
And willing to go out on a limb for somebody else, a total stranger.
We've made friends in our neighborhood that we never knew before, and there's nothing to say we can't have friends as far away as North Carolina, even though we've never met them before today. So thank you guys very much for helping us out.
Thank y'all so much.
God bless you. Thank you. This whole crew from Wilmington, North Carolina is a godsend.
What a wonderful message. This story, one of a series of 5 we plan to show you from hurricane-stricken Mississippi. Tomorrow, what it's like at the donation depot as hurricane victims receive food and supplies after 6 days of waiting. Join us for that tomorrow night on News 6 at 6. We have a storm to worry about right now.
Yes. On News 6 at 6.
All this week, we're bringing you stories and images from the areas battered by Hurricane Katrina. We sent WECT News 6 photojournalist Chad Headley to the Gulf Coast. Today, he shows us what it's like at the donation depot as hurricane victims receive food and supplies after 6 days of waiting.
Some more food for our citizens in Wilmington.
We'll put a few more pallets over here.
When we got there, we offloaded, and then the other trucks started coming in.
We're going to stack your supplies over there.
We got a little bit of everything up there today.
This is the most rural distribution point that we have in this area.
We went to a shelter, and by the time we got there and offloaded, they had 6 cases of water left.
Most of the people in this area have not had food since the hurricane. We just got MREs to this area yesterday.
What do you need, ma'am? It's great to be able to hand it to them. I mean, you get going right to the end consumer.
We can provide food, water, and ice. What these people need is basic necessities.
Bottles, there's baby food.
But after you didn't drink water for so many days, it's good to have like a high C or a cold drink, and then like games for the little kids to play with.
Got any toys? This is keep them occupied. This is good right here.
This came from a little girl up in Wilmington. Her name is Caitlin.
Usually people just think, all right, let's send the necessities instead of sending other little stuff.
They need Band-Aids, they need toilet paper, they need stuff for cuts, bruises, things like that.
It was just great to be able to see the people, you know, really appreciative.
Can I hold you over?
Yes, sir. That'll work for me.
All right, good job.
They need help from other people, and we're just doing what we can.
I would think that this should be an ongoing trip. You know, whenever anybody can bring a truckload down, we should be bringing it and just keeping these people in the supplies they need.
Several weeks of convoys need to come here. People can't just go out and buy groceries. You don't run down to the Quick Mart and get a gallon of milk. It's gone.
You folks from Wilmington, North Carolina, you're a lifesaver to a great many of these people.
A lot of hard work went into it from the citizens in Wilmington to send this food and supplies down here from, and they're very appreciative of it.
Thanks.
Oh, that was so touching, isn't it? Absolutely. And to hear the thank you to Wilmington. Thanks. That makes it worthwhile. It does. What you did really and truly made a difference.
Now, tomorrow on News 6 at 6, we're going to take you on a tour of the devastation in the Mississippi town of Pass Christian. Right now, though, let's talk about something else.
We We've been focusing on the impact of Hurricane Ophelia. Now we want to turn our attention to Katrina and how residents of this area are helping the victims.
WECT News 6 photojournalist Chad Headley has just returned from the Gulf Coast. Tonight he shows us what it's like at the donation depot in Pass Christian, Mississippi, as hurricane victims receive food and supplies after days of waiting.
The devastation in the area south of the railroad tracks in Pass Christian is just, it's total. It's absolute.
This is Highway 90. It's the Gulf of Mexico. The wall of water that came through here, they estimate to be about 30 to 31 foot high. On top of that, you had 20 to 25 foot waves. One of the houses across the street over there you saw came from right there. Just raised up and floated this way. You got two Pass Christian police cars in the middle of a cemetery. Of course, they weren't parked here. They floated here, were pushed here by the storm surge and the wind. I'm sure they were out on patrol up until the conditions got so bad that it was hazardous for them to drive. And I'm sure their command would have called them in and had them shelter someplace. Wherever they left their cars, they ended up here. You can see how high we are and how the water surge came through to the Pass Christian Library, where some of the Pass Christian police officers were sheltering. When the water got so high, it started coming into the building. The officers that were trapped inside were unable to get out and were in definite danger of drowning. So they took out their guns and started shooting out the doors, trying to break the glass. You can see where the bullet holes impacted the door. But this is laminated glass built to withstand a hurricane. You just imagine what the officers were thinking in here, having to use their weapons to shoot their way out of their own public library. Police officers, firefighters, emergency medical services, we don't evacuate. We're here. We stay. You see these guys, I mean, they stayed. It almost cost them their lives. Because every storm, you know, somebody suffers. And this one, a lot of people died. I mean, how can you get used to that?
They had to shoot their way out of the library. That story from News 6 photojournalist Chad Headley, his series of reports, and they are gripping, show how your donations, your generosity is making a difference. Those reports continue tomorrow on News 6 at 6.
What an amazing story.
The bullet holes.
Oh, yes.
In the public library.
On News 6 at 6.
All this week we've been showing you how your gifts to Katrina's victims are making a difference.
WECT News 6 photojournalist Chad Headley is back from the Gulf Coast. Tonight, the story of a home with a Wilmington connection, a before and after story.
Well, Zella's, he and I became real good friends in college, and you know, his house, it was pretty spectacular in its day. The gardens that were there with all the Japanese artifacts were something his grandfather had built, been in his family for 3 generations.
Here, we'll go up this way and make a loop. And keep your eyes peeled. I mean, sometimes you'll be walking along and you'll find like a silver spoon or a hand tool or something just sitting there. Now, there is some stuff that's not ours in there. I have no idea whose chair that is.
And, you know, the house was kind of built with hospitality in mind. It had a large dining room, opened right up onto the Gulf. You know, had a beautiful view of the Gulf right out the front door. And just standing there looking out, you know, not being able to see a single house or structure for, you know, about as far as you could see.
You see how that John boat's wrapped around the tree? It looks like the water rushed out this way. There were a couple of boards in this pile that could be from our house.
I know it was tough for Zell. He's still having a hard time with it. You know, standing just on a slab of concrete there where the, you know, the dining room was, just stripped of everything.
So I'm gonna get y'all to help me move this Buddha head.
And all the artifacts that were collected there, they had the Buddha statue and
the Buddha, there's one of his arms I can't find yet.
A lot of those items were irreplaceable. You know, you couldn't replace them.
Some things you find buried, like you'll find something sticking out of the ground, and you dig, and there'll be a bunch of stuff like 10 inches under the ground. We got a crystal bowl for a wedding present, and it's had some little Irish legend in it about how if you didn't break the bowl, you'd live happily ever after or whatever. And I found it in the backyard, wedged between a big old brick bat and a toilet, and not a chip on it.
But it was a beautiful place. Yeah, I know they'll recover. But
see, look at this. Glass isn't even broken. All the parts are still in it. There's a lot like that.
We want to mention that Richard Dado was one of the drivers who brought supplies from Wilmington. That house, by the way, belonged to one of his friends. Imagine a house turned upside down by Hurricane Katrina when a truck from Wilmington pulls up full of people ready to go to work.
And that's one of the images in this final installment of WECT News 6 photojournalist Chad Headley's series of reports from Gulfport, Mississippi.
I just wasn't prepared for how much the house was damaged. Her house was built almost at 14-foot elevation.
We were 6 miles inland, and these people had 5 feet of water in their homes, and they lost everything.
A layer of mud covered everything, and the smell was just horrendous. I can't believe the guys that went with me jumped right in and helped me get all the items out. You know, we got it cleaned out.
Most people have everything that they're going to need on the first floor of their house, your food, your water, refrigerators, things like that. All that was gone for those people.
It was real tough for my mom. You know, I think we were only able to get about 8 boxes worth of items that she could salvage. You know, china and some silverware and, you know, pictures of my dad and stuff when he passed away just a couple of years ago. You know, everybody had this sense of security that their house was built above the Camille flood stage. Edmund, my mother's neighbor, he decided to ride it out, and it turned out to be a bad mistake.
From the time it went from the floor level to knee level was about 15 minutes. Within a matter of another 10 or 15 minutes, it was almost to the waist. When I reached this point here, the water was up close to the top of the window. This originally was all boarded up, and the window was knocked out. The boards were knocked out from the flood waters from inside. I actually had to go underwater to go under this window to get into the house, and then take the stairwell up to the second floor. You'd see boats hit the tops of houses, the roofs on some of the one-story houses, and it was a frightening experience. It was one of the worst experiences that I've ever been through in my life. And of course, there's no doubt the next time I hear a hurricane's coming, doesn't matter what the winds are, I'll definitely evacuate.
The scale of the damage is overwhelming. It's hard to comprehend. I mean, basically it's about 100 miles of coastline completely devastated, about like driving from Myrtle Beach to Wilmington. It's going to be a very long-term recovery for them, and people are going to need help in that recovery process.